We are live talking Fallout from tonight's October 1st, 2014 edition of Impact Wrestling. It's your host right here, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders, wrestling columnist for TNAinsider.com. Welcoming those of you that's checking us out tonight as we are talking all things TNA with the latest in TNA headlines. If you're new to us, welcome. Hope you enjoy the show. And if you're looking for actual TNA wrestling footage, my good friends, you can find it at TNA Impact Wrestling's YouTube channel at, you guessed it, TNA Impact Wrestling, or you can head on over to impactwrestling.com. You know, originally I was going to take the rest of this week off because I just felt with what we had got from the WWE product, for those of you that like checking out wrestling from more than one promotion, I think we can be in agreement. The week kind of kicked off very sour, kind of down because of what we saw from the WWE product. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, being the, I guess, broadcast journalist is the tag I'm going to have to go with, just for the sake of the argument. I just kind of looked at how things kicked off and I said, man, this feels like a week that I just want to kick back, relax, maybe catch up on some yard work, catch up with some family and friends, and just kind of lay low, take it easy this week. But I said, you know what? Let me not do that. Let me see what's going on with the TNA product. And I'm actually pretty glad that I had checked out the TNA product tonight. A lot of bright spots, a little bit of questionable spots. We'll dive into all that. As always, we want to get you guys involved. I want to try to make this, as well as our future episodes that we do for you guys here, whether it's on YouTube or on the downloads, I want to try to make this be as engaging as possible. It kind of follows up to a Facebook post that I did earlier this week, where I don't want to just hear from folks that basically reek the entire show in their comments. I want to really make this be very thought-provoking. So if you have a really good comment, or maybe there's something that you might disagree with me about as you're checking out this episode, I definitely want you to sign off, post your comments down below if you're watching the live webcast of this right now, or if you're accessing this on the downloads. You can hit us up on Twitter at the RCWR Show. You can hit us up on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. That's Infinity with an E. Make sure you throw in the actual number one, Infinity One Productions. I see a really good question that came in within the first 60 seconds. I'll definitely address that in a little bit. But for now, kick on back, relax, and let's have at it. And of course, make sure you give this a thumbs up, share it a number of ways, Google+, Facebook, retweet. Always one of many ways you can spread a good word about our content. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe this was the first show that we had got from Bethlehem, PA, as the TNA, they had went out there with their cameras early last month to film about at least 2 months worth of episodes as we get ready to go into the holidays. I mean, pretty much this is where things are really starting to get very interesting for the promotion, because we've yet to hear an announcement of a new TNA television deal. We hope that it's going to be happening before the end of this calendar year is out. And by the way, if you haven't checked out the great article that I did for TNA Insider, which was basically called TNA Wrestling Guide to a New Home, been getting a lot of great feedback. Check it out when you guys get a moment. Some great stuff. And, you know, for me, I'm saying to myself, looking at these tapings from PA, okay, well, let's see how they do. You know, New York City, they got their fix for a good minute. Now it's time to see what happens in another neck of the woods. And I like the throughout the whole broadcast of tonight's show, it was kind of dark, a little gritty, a little in your face, right down to the type of cameras and lighting that they were using for this episode. I don't know if you guys had noticed it, but it was like awesome how the crowds were kind of blackened out a little bit as your eyes were just really focused on what was happening in the middle of the ring. I like that. You know, too many times we check out our favorite wrestling promotions and the fans, they just dominate, whether it's with their colorful signs or they've got these humongous oversized heads that's on a cutout board or whatever. It's always amazing how when you check out various promotions, a lot of fans are making themselves stand out, maybe even plugging their own merchandise, their own podcast show or whatever. And it's really nice to be able to kick back and you don't focus so much on, oh, hey, what's that fan doing right there? But instead, you focus on the in ring action. And I loved how Impact opened up tonight with Austin Aries. Remember, he had won the Gold Rush match last week, or as I called it, Fool's Rush. And I will admit it was kind of nice the way it was written out for Austin Aries and how he came out and he said to the crowd, all right, so I have a decision to make. Do I maybe challenge the tag team champions and go after the tag titles by myself? Or do I take on Gail Kim for the Knockouts Championship? And he was basically kind of letting the crowd decide for him. And before he could even talk about Lashley, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Samoa Joe comes out, and Joe says to Aries, I think I heard my name. You want to challenge me? Let me tell you something. When it comes to champions, there's no champion better other than myself because I'm a fighting champion. And Aries, basically, he accepted Samoa Joe's challenge because when it's all said and done, Samoa Joe got in the face of Austin Aries. Now, some people may kind of nitpick at this a little bit and they may say, hey, really wish Austin Aries, from a writing standpoint, he would have said, whoa, 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 Joe, slow your roll. I've got a lot to think about. I'll tell you what, I'll let you know by the end of the night what my decision is going to be. And, maybe they could have played it up that way, but unfortunately it didn't work out that way, as instead Austin Aries had challenged Samoa Joe. Damn good opener of a match too. I really, really had enjoyed it. When I look back on the 6 matches that we had got of the entire night, I've got to be brutally honest with you guys. Out of the 6 matches, this is definitely one match that was really, really on point. Very on point. I'm probably going to give an honorable mention to maybe one, maybe two more matches, but just looking at the card offhand, playing it back in my mind, there's probably about 3 out of the 6 that I enjoyed the most. But at number one, Aries taking on Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe successfully defended his X Division championship. He is still your new champion. What happens with Austin Aries after that? Honestly, I tell you what, and I like what's been going on with Austin Aries. Now, as we all know, we are hearing the reports that Austin Aries' contract with TNA, it may, who knows, he hasn't really talked about it publicly on social media. He hasn't talked about it on recent podcasts or radio shows that he's been doing. But I would think sooner or later he's going to just kick back and just patiently sit on our hands and see how it all comes about. But in the meantime, don't get so caught up on that. Just enjoy what we're seeing from this man for all it's worth. And I just really have been enjoying the of the time he did that was kind of going on a serious decline, and it's kind of nice to see him back in rotation again in some story arcs. I'll admit that. Gail Kim, she had defended her Knockouts championship against Havoc. I'm a big fan of Havoc. I really, really am a big fan of Havoc. I think I'm going to go on ahead and I'm only going to talk about this twice. I'm going to talk about what happened this go round with Gail Kim and Havoc because there's a part 2 to their story, but I'm going to mention it later. With Gail Kim taking on Havoc, TNA Knockouts Championship, all right? So we see Gail Kim come out, giving high fives to the fans, slapping their hands and all that. And then we see Havoc, who just attacks Gail Kim from behind. She does the cheap shot. And so the match never happens because Havoc, she's doing all this serious damage to Gail, tossing her around, throwing her into the steel steps, giving her a nice, serious bear hug. I mean, she was just going to town on this girl. So the main thing that happens throughout the course of the night with Gail Kim, you see her in the backstage area. She's with Kurt Angle. Kurt's like, okay, well, what's the word, doc? Give me the word, because the doctors are checking her out, and the doc is like, her shoulder, she may have dislocated it. Don't think it'd be a good idea for her to go out there and wrestle tonight? And Gail's like, no, I want this match. I don't care. It's going down. It's happening tonight, Kurt. I don't care what you say. So Kurt's kind of like, oh, okay, if this is what you want. So, but back up a second. Now, look, fan of Havoc, big fan of Havoc, all right? And when it comes to my women, I do not like my women bony. Okay, if I see a bony woman, I'm like, that girl needs a burger. Or as I like to say it, to my lovely soon-to-be wife, I say, you know what? We're walking down the street, I'll look at a random woman and I'll say, honey, that damn woman needs a damn burger, man. We should have her come to our house. We'll put about 15 pounds for her, no problem, you know. But you know, I'll talk a little bit more about the whole weight. There's a reason why I'm bringing up the whole weight thing. I think some of you that's been listening to our show long enough, you kind of know the direction I'm going. But seeing Havoc come out, Gail Kim, it had me take a step back and go, wait a minute, didn't we see for the past couple of weeks now, since Havoc has been up on the main roster, hasn't she been like getting into the face of the knockouts? It's kind of like she's walking down the street, strutting her stuff, chest all nice out there and high. Some of them there was a nipple slip, verify. I can't confirm or deny, but we've been seeing her the past couple of weeks come out. I'm the top dog now, and she's just been owning the hell out of the knockouts. I mean, she's just been going in their face. So you're kind of like, damn, this girl ain't no joke. She's getting all up in their faces. She's okay, all right. She's trying to prove to everybody that she's the real deal. Yet she does this cheap shot attack from behind. And that right there was just kind of like, wait, that's not matching up to what we've been seeing of Havoc in the past several weeks. Who's booking this? Because this just seems a little bit off. I'm going to come back to Gail Kim and Havoc because the match did happen at the end of the night. But for now, marinate on that. Welcome those of you that's checking us out right now. Your host right here, Black Avenger Lee Sanders. We're talking Fallout for tonight's episode of TNA Impact Wrestling. I want some really good questions from you guys. I want some really great and insightful comments. Let's not do so much of a overall review of Impact. I mean, if you want to just briefly say, hey, I thought it was weak this week, here's why, you could do that. But let's see if we really make this episode be very engaging with comment sections. So put some good stuff out there, whether you're watching us right now with our live webcast, post those comments down below. If you're going to be checking this out on the downloads, you can always hit us up on Twitter or Facebook with those questions and comments. I always love it when we hear from you guys too. Let's continue on. So we had saw the Wolves, the Hardys, Team 3D, basically pulling a System of a Down song, Cigarro. I'm not going to even do the lyrics because I know we got a couple of kids that watch us from time to time. I mean, young kids. Looks like they're probably under the age of 11. So I'm going to try to keep it clean because I don't want you getting in trouble, all right? And I don't want to hear from your parents. But we basically saw all three teams come out. Team 3D comes out. They're basically telling the Wolves, hey, look, you'll never be the greatest tag team of all time like Team 3D. You're never going to get that. We've been the most dominant tag team in the past 20 years now, and we're still dominant. You all are just bush leagues. It's never going to happen for you guys, was the message Team 3D had gave to the Wolves. Meanwhile, the Hardys had came out, and they pretty much tried to talk down to the Team 3D and say to them, okay, your stripes haven't changed. You guys are still the same. But look, when it's all said and done, if any team is going to be winning this series, if any team should decide what the final match is going to be in this tag tournament, it's going to be us. Well, we finally saw American males. Oh, I apologize. Wink, wink. American Wolves. They said to both. It's our decision, and what we're going to do is Full Metal Mayhem. So the final match, which is going to be happening next week for the conclusion of the tag, going to be taking on the Hardys. Full Metal Mayhem. I don't know about you guys. I'm looking very forward to seeing how that match comes about. But in the back of my mind, knowing what's going to be happening in the weeks to come as far as the tag, to follow up on what we had announced, I actually dedicated a segment over our weekend edition of the RCWR show that's now available on the downloads. I did a great spotlight on the upcoming tapings slash results for some TNA shows, and I was very disappointed with a lot of the decisions that was made. If you guys go back after you get done with this, it was some really great and insightful stuff. But be warned, there's some spoilers that I revealed that had happened from these shows that we're seeing from PA right now. Meanwhile, EC3, Rockstar Spud, do you really care about me? Do you really consider yourself to be my friend? You know, what have you done, Rockstar Spud? That was basically the segment that we had saw tonight. Rockstar, as EC3 showing off love, saying to him, look, my real friends are people that have lots of money, do a lot of trading and underground stuff. They give me connections. Basically, he was saying to Spud, look, employer, you're my employee, and you just have on the good. So have been paying attention to the TNA headlines. We know in the back of our minds that a certain former WWE superstar is on the hiring up with EC3 for the next several weeks. And it kind of looks like the way they got the ball moving with this particular segment between EC3 Spud. I like it. I got to admit, I'm looking at it more on a completely different level than some people may feel, which is, you know, this is giving Spud the opportunity to finally be in his favor and get him over as a baby. I know people that legitimately cannot stand EC3. They just think he is so freaking overrated, that he does not deserve any of the praise that he gets. I mean, hell, right down to the point, if you were watching Impact Wrestling tonight, you actually had heard the chants from the crowd as they were going EC3 overrated. So, but I love the position that Spud is now in, because he's finally going to be able to kind of, because it seems like they're kind of going in that separation of the two. And so to finally see Spud officially break away from the whole Dixie Carter Spud combination and he's out on his own, I think it's really great. I think it really is, because let's be for real. The first go round that we were introduced to Spud, it just was not working. I mean, I understood the original gimmick that he had, which we first saw, which was a nice 80s throwback. I mean, he kind of had like a Ramones Clash type of vibe going on when we first saw him. Billy Idol, you know, he kind of had that weird combo going on, you know, metal rock from the UK and Rockstar Spud. But it just, I don't think was really clicking, unfortunately. And honestly, the work that he's been doing, he's been paired up with the Carter family storyline wise, it's just been really good. It's been adding new layers to his character. I feel his character development goes that now he's in a really good spot where we believe that, oh, well, if things are going the way I'm thinking, and EC3 is going to do a serious ass whooping to Spud and fire him and all that, then you know what a great way to have Spud begin maybe a little bit of a singles career for a hot moment. I don't know. That's just my wishful thinking with regards to that. But we did see Eric Young come out. He tried to actually come to the defense of Spud. This would set up a match between Ethan Carter um, and uh, and Eric Young. EC3 was looking for Spud to help him run interference while the ref was distracted a few times. Spud did lend a hand as EC3 was able to win, but you would think that maybe that had scored Spud some brownie points for that respective week, but unfortunately, we still see EC3 being a little bit of a hard ass on him, still showing him that tough love. Very curious to see how this plays out, knowing in the back of my mind that we're going to get introduced to a new acquisition for EC3. Let's continue on. We had saw the Great Sonata, James Storm, or as I'm now dubbing him, Gary Hart. Gary Hart 2.0 with his new stable of the Great Sonata and Manic. They made an appearance. I miss seeing them because I don't believe we had got them last week or maybe the week before. So it was nice seeing these guys again. This week, Manic was in action. This was pretty much his first singles outing since joining James Storm's new stable. We actually saw him take on somebody that, honestly, I don't know how some of you guys feel. But every single time I see Shark Boy, I always get a smile on my face. I love Shark Boy. There hasn't been a dull moment that I've ever been like, I love Shark Boy. Shark Boy just always takes me back to earlier times in TNA whenever I see him. Of course, I'm not one to talk now because, but I will say this. I have been doing better as far as my eating habits go and all that. And I'm happy to say I'm slimming down a little bit, but God damn, Shark Boy has really let himself go. I think he's been eating too many fish at the sea, man. I don't know what the hell is going on with that. I don't know. Maybe Shark Boy discovered Red Lobster. I don't know. This has got to be the biggest I've seen Shark Boy, but I tell you what, that man can still go. I still love the man. Hell, he can be 400 pounds. He's still Shark Boy in my book, and he's always going to be awesome in my book. But amazed that it seems like every time we see Shark Boy come around TNA, he just gets bigger, bigger, and bigger. I don't know. Maybe that's the beer. Maybe that's a beer gut. I don't know. You guys got to hit me to that one. It's somewhat of a decent match, by Shark Boy standards. I'm kind of like, I couldn't help but say to myself, I've seen better Shark Boy matches. This one really wasn't what I hoped it would be, but it was still nice to kind of feel that nostalgia nonetheless. Manic picking up the victory over Shark Boy. Mr. Anderson had spoke with Kurt Angle to get a match against MVP. This was pretty much a follow-up to what had went down last week, where we had saw Kenny King disrespect the newcomer Chris Melendez. MVP kind of, being part of that whole fiasco and all. And good match between Mr. Anderson, MVP. I would actually have to give this match the second honorable mention. It looks like we're continuing to see Anderson and Melendez, their whole union and all that. I'm not picking up the vibe somewhere down the road that maybe Anderson. Oh, actually, that's a damn good thought right there. Yeah, I was just thinking originally that probably no time soon we're maybe going to see a turn in Melendez, given the way that he's been brought in. But we can't say the same thing for Mr. Anderson. I don't know about you guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Anderson as a babyface and all, but I think his work, his best work at that is when he's a bad guy. And I would not be that surprised if eventually we had saw Anderson turn on Chris Melendez. I think that would be pretty freaking awesome. I do, at least. But I'm jumping ahead. I'll just deal with what I'm seeing right now. And as far as tonight goes, we had saw Mr. Anderson lose to MVP. Given the vibe that these guys are not going to be done by a long shot, though, I have a feeling this is going to continue to play out on television. Bobby Roode's decision, tough decision that he had to make tonight as far as what's next for his career. And we were hearing about this all week. Roode comes out. He asks to speak with the champion, and he does a really good job in putting Lashley over. Tells him that whenever Lashley has hit that spear, that's pretty much been the bookend to his victories once he hits it. But he noticed something as he kept rewinding the tape over and over of their match, and that's when he kicked out of Lashley's spear, he saw something in Lashley's face that he never saw before, which was shock. And it's with that look that Roode feels that he was so close to defeating Lashley and becoming the new TNA champion that he wants to dance with the champion one more time. Butters him up real good, wants another match. Lashley looked as though he wanted to accept, but we saw MVP step in and say, no, you had your chance. The answer is no. Well, we see Roode say to MVP, with all due respect, wasn't talking to you, was talking to the champion. MVP still said, the answer is no. And we pretty much had saw MVP whisk Lashley away as Lashley just had this reluctant look on his face, like he did not want to leave, that he wanted to give Roode an answer mano a mano. So the way it's looking right now, I would suspect that for maybe at least the next 2 weeks, maybe at most, we're probably actually, you know what? Let me just pull up the calendar here, because we're like about at this point 2+ weeks away from Glory on Sunday, October 12th. I don't know. Tough call. I don't know if this is going to be playing out on television and it's going to go past Bound for Glory, knowing that the results, the tapings, and all that, it's already in the books. I don't know how they're going to make this coincide with what they're going to be doing with Bound for Glory, but they right here where just wishful thinking, if they wanted to stretch it out for a couple of weeks, they can definitely do that. But I suspect that Lashley is going to continue to get harassed, if you will, by Roode into going one-on-one one more time for the championship. Welcome those of you that's checking us out right now. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you are, please go out of your way. Make sure you share this episode of number of ways. You can Facebook, Google+, retweet it, mention us on Twitter. Always, it's one of the best ways you can spread a good word about our content. Subscribe to us as well. If you love the TNA product, well, you found a good place you can call home, as every single Wednesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, we are live talking fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling and covering the latest in TNA headlines. Speaking of TNA headlines, make sure you stick around. We now have the entire card for what I was talking about over the weekend, and I just want to reiterate it again when we get ready to talk about this card. I'm definitely curious what some of you all have to say with regards to this card. That is, look at it. If you did not, well, you're in for a special treat. Main event match of the night. Gail Kim taking on Havoc. So now we come back to Gail Kim and we come back to Havoc. So Gail Kim comes out and she's in the ring patiently waiting for Havoc. Cuts a really good promo saying, hey, you may have beaten me down, but you want this championship belt. You got it, Havoc. So Havoc comes out. Gail Kim leaves out the ring, attacks Havoc. I'm saying to myself, okay, this is great, but where was this passion and energy from Gail Kim past couple of weeks? Because there was some opportunities that Gail Kim had, especially after Havoc had just came through TNA in her debut and just put a mud hole in her ass. Where was this energy from Gail Kim, storyline wise? I mean, if you get your ass beat by somebody, you're not going to be all friendly and, you're not going to wait for you see them. You're going to try to get the big payback, right? So, hey, in either case, it's all good. Havoc taking on Gail Kim. Oh, man. Where do I even want to begin? The match, I gotta be brutally honest, and I love Gail Kim. I love Jessica Havoc. I'm familiar with Jessica Havoc's work from WSU, Shimmer, mainly the Shine promotion, but I gotta tell you, this is not the best I've seen Havoc. It's not the best. I've seen her do better matches. Gail Kim can work with pretty much nothing and make it look rather decent, but I gotta say, I've seen her with better people. Um, I'm trying to tread lightly here because I respect both of these women, but I gotta be brutally honest. I thought this was one of the weakest matches of the night. Normally the knockouts matches outshine their male counterparts, but when I think of all the matches that we got on this card tonight, this was probably one of the weakest. I really was not that pleased with what I saw of the offense of Havoc, which brings me back to a reference that I made earlier as far as big women go and all that. Now, look, I love big women. I can't stand bony girls. All right. I make an exception to a few pretty faces. Jada Pickett Smith is one. Angela Bassett is another. I'm trying to think who else. There's that hot Hispanic chick on Modern Family. I can't think of her name right now, but she's cool. I've always had a crush on Ellen DeGeneres. So I'm not discriminating, all right? As far as big girls go, the chick from Mike and Molly, she's okay. She's cute for a big girl. Um, but with regards to Havoc, you're going to be seen on nationally syndicated television. More eyes are going to be on you. They're going to become very familiar with you. Your social media and all that is out there. It's going to give you better opportunities to market yourself and all that. If you ever had dreams and aspirations of making it to the big dance, known as the WWE, well, you know what? You can basically use the TNA wrestling promotion as that conduit. You can use it as that gateway to get to the big leagues. Now, some of you all may not like that. Some of y'all may be like, nah, man, if you're going to be in TNA, be in it through thick and thin. Hey, some people have ulterior motives. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. I respect that. Whatever you got to do to get yourself high up there, whatever you got to do to be able to provide for yourself, your family, by any means necessary, no problem. I respect that. All right. We all have done that in some shape or form. Whether it comes to a mediocre job that we've had, we say to ourselves, I'm just going to keep this long enough until something better comes along. And then, you know what? I'm going to go on ahead for the right amount of money, healthcare benefit package, and all that. I'm going to jump ship. All right. We've all done it. All right. So there's nothing wrong with wrestlers that come into TNA and they're trying to get themselves that exposure to make it to the big leagues. But knowing that you have so many eyes on your, knowing that you have so many eyes that's on you because you're now being seen on nationally syndicated TV as opposed to DVDs, VHS tapes, uh, Daily Motion, YouTube. Now, only thing a person has to do, turn on their TV, they can see you. I would think that would be more than enough motivation for Havoc to go, okay, I've got to get into shape. I'm not saying you got to be bony, but I've seen this girl's weight fluctuate over the years. And I must admit, when I first saw her appear on Impact Wrestling, I was really amazed at how big she got. I was like, wow, because I hadn't seen her in a while. So I'm looking at her and I almost didn't recognize her. I'm like, this is Havoc? I'm thinking maybe this is an imposter, but then when they did the close ups on the face, I'm like, oh, snap, this really is Havoc. And, for me, I kind of said to myself, okay, let's not go with the weight because seeing what she can do wrestling wise, she's a freaking beast. But what I've been seeing with her in Impact Wrestling the past couple of weeks, I mean, she is just nowhere near close to the Havoc that I've seen in those other promotions that I've mentioned. Now, Now, this is not Havoc's fault. I want to make sure we stress this. This is not her fault. This could ultimately, and ultimately, it is the fault of TNA. It's the fault of booking, because if they're seeing, and I know for a fact that they're very well aware of the work that she was doing in the other promotions. All right. So keeping all that in mind, you're bringing her in. You definitely want to use her gonna make her not come off that well on TV. I've waited patiently to see how they were gonna utilize her, and I love the whole monster dominating Amazon type of woman that she was when she first came in. But when it comes down to her in ring ability currently, nowhere near close to the Jessica Havoc from other promotions. So that combined with just the shape. I mean, we've heard the stories over the years with how certain people in TNA, they wanted for Samoa Joe to lose just a little bit of weight, like at least 20, maybe 30 pounds, so that they could try to market him better. But Samoa Joe just, and I don't know. I mean, to each its own, but I'm not going to put their names out there, but I personally know of people that have been able to work for wrestling promotions, be seen on TV weekly, and they've said to me, "Hey, you want to look good because there's a lot of eyes that's watching you. This is your opportunity." So I'm just a little bit disappointed that this opportunity that Havoc has on a silver platter is given to her, and she doesn't really take it so seriously to the point that it's like, okay, I need to prove to them that I want this, that I'm definitely deserving of this spot, that they definitely can keep coming to me, because I'm losing this weight, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and that's not happening. Now, I'm getting ready to put a spoiler out there for you guys. You don't want to hear this spoiler, you've been warned, because I'm getting ready to dive into it in about 5 seconds. So once again, you've been warned. This is probably the only spoiler I'm going to mention just to prove my point. Obviously, there was something wrong with Jessica Havoc as the TNA champion, because in just a couple of weeks, maybe three tops, might be shorter than that, Homegirl loses the belt. So that says a lot right there. That you guys will just have to figure that one out for yourselves, but it may shock you. But I'm definitely curious what you guys have to say with regards to that. Now, a question was asked of, do I feel TNA buried Gail Kim? Weston put this question out there. He feels they did, considering she didn't do nothing but get her butt kicked all night. Honestly, to answer that question, honestly, I won't say they buried Gail Kim. It's really hard to bury Gail Kim, because when you think of the name Gail Kim, you say to yourself, God, when it comes to women's wrestling, you think Gail Kim. So, I mean, Gail Kim can take a backseat to a few people here and there if creative slash booking wants to try out some new flavor of the month. Gail Kim's not buried. Her integrity, everything that she's accomplished throughout her wrestling career, everything is still intact as far as her future Hall of Famer, whether it's in TNA, which I'm still waiting patiently for TNA to induct their first ever female into the Hall of Fame. I think Gail Kim would definitely fit that bill, or not. Whether it happens, hey, who knows? But I will say this flavor of the muff pattern that TNA has when they get a hold of now, with the exception of let me see, with the exception of Taryn Terrell, with the exception of Brittany, just looking at the current roster right now, thinking about it, all the other girls that has been gone from the TNA product but came back some shape or form, they got a knockouts title run. All right. Honestly, Knockouts title or not, push, no push. What I'd like to start seeing happening from here on now is smarter booking. I honestly don't think it's a smart move to put a championship belt on somebody that has only made at this point maybe four appearances for the TNA product. That just doesn't really. And if you're gonna switch titles, why not do it on the grandest stage of them all? Why not do it at Bound for Glory? You're so close. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Overall, tonight, though, I will say this. And by the way, that's how Impact Wrestling went off. It went off with a new Knockouts champion just holding the title and all that. And then you saw graphics for next week's Full Metal Mayhem. I don't know about you guys, but I think the way it should have ended was with Bobby Roode, Lashley. I think that would have been a really good cliffhanger. Why it had to end on the knockouts note. I mean, unfortunately, I'm a hardcore Havoc fan. I know there's many Havoc fans that's out there, but you still have a majority of people that aren't really familiar with this woman. And so I'm sure that for a lot of people, it really didn't register in their heads. Why is this girl getting the championship belt? Who is this? Where the hell did she come from? And that's the other thing as far as creative goes. It's like, come on, build this girl up. You have this girl, build her up. Make us give a damn. I mean, okay, it's great that she's destroying these other knockouts and all that, but give us a little bit of backstory to her. You can't reference the other promotions that she's been in, but yet when we get Gene Snitsky, Ezekiel Jackson, um, the other guy that's going to be showing up, you're probably going to be dropping, oh, WWE and blah, 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 and Ring of Honor, but you can't do any type of name drops for Havoc to really build her. I remember them doing the same thing with Brittany. They didn't even make the promotion references when they had acquired Britney. So I think going forward, that's something that they're really going to have to embrace if they're really trying to have these new pieces of talent get over. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point of signing them? And you've got that character history that's already there that can, help create that domino effect. Honestly, I don't know. It just kind of comes off sometimes like maybe TNA says to themselves, well, look, if we get a former WWE person, we need to boost that because it's going to make us look good because we have managed to get this former WWE employee, but yet you can't put over promotions like Shine, like Shimmer, who, when it comes to women's wrestling, they do a pretty damn good job at handling it. I mean, a lot of times those promotions, their cards, the matches, it's just better than the males, quite honestly. No joke. What you don't want for that fan to go spend their money on those products? I don't get that. It is just mind boggling. Here's something else that's mind boggling as far as TNA wrestling news goes. We now have the full card for Bound for Glory. You can't make this up, by the way. See if you can spot the what the hells. So this is the full card for Bound for Glory, and Great Sonata take on Great Muta and Tajiri. Samoa Joe versus Low Key and Kaz Hayashi. MVP takes on Kazuma Sakamoto. Team 3D takes on Abyss and Tommy Dreamer. Ethan Carter III takes on Ryata Hama. Havoc takes on Velvet Sky. There you go, guys. We finally get our knockouts match. Unfortunately, there's no Gail Kim. Manic takes on Minoru Tanaka. Notice anything missing? Well, the way it's looking right now, there's no TNA World Heavyweight Championship being represented. And it looks like there is no TNA Knockouts Championship being represented. And it looks like the X Division Championship is not going to be represented based on some stuff I know that's going to be coming up for Impact tapings. So you're keeping that in the back of your mind and you're remembering that TNA over the years has always built up Bound for Glory as one of those type of shows where it's like WrestleMania. It's our WrestleMania of the year. It's one of our most important, biggest pay-per-views of the entire year. Yet you don't have these matches. You don't have the championship belts being represented for this promotion. It really makes TNA come off like Bush Leagues. It really makes them come off like I just I've been covering wrestling since 2011, wrestling entertainment, all that good stuff since 2011, TNA included. This has to be the very first time I've looked at a TNA card for a pay per view, and I've said to myself, okay, you know what? This is one I want to pass on because if you're not going to have the championship belts be represented, what's the point of me watching? It's like if I want to see worlds collide, look, I can go watch Ring of Honor, Best in the World. I can go watch maybe Starcade 95, when New Japan was doing their thing with WCW. I mean, I can go see crossover collaborations. I want to see championship belts be represented for this promotion, and it's just not happening. Now, they're saying that this card is going to be about 3 hours long. I would hope that maybe there's some surprises. I don't know, but they're announcing right now this is the complete card. I'm curious, knowing this card, are you guys gonna still check out Bound for Glory? If yes, explain how you're gonna be able to watch it, knowing that you're not gonna see the championship belts be represented. Because the way this is looking right now, this is all New Japan. New Japan is the ones that we need to be yelling at right now. For those of you that may be upset with this current card, it's Wrestle One. You guys need to be upset at, not TNA, because TNA, the way this was all set up, Jeff Jarrett was the one that got this deal in motion, and um, apparently Wrestle One was given the right to just do the card anyway they saw fit. TNA only has to worry about travel expenses, providing food to their wrestlers, hotel expenses. I mean, that's pretty much it. Wrestle One does everything else. So I don't know. Maybe my mind might change, but I doubt it would. Those of you that might be like, "Oh, Lee, have a heart," why don't you cover Bound for Glory? I'll tell you what may end up happening. We may actually have a special guest come in the night that Bound for Glory is going down, and we may have them appear on this show in my place, and they'll basically talk about Fallout from Bound for Glory, and maybe they can put over their own show. I don't know, but as far as I know right now, and I doubt it's going to change, this is actually going to be a Bound for Glory first that I'm going to be skipping. Other than that, I've got some knockout news that I want to share with you guys before we see what you all have to say in the comment section here. Looks like TNA is going to be airing a 1 hour special called Unfinished Business. It's a pay per view featuring the beautiful people. That's going to be happening on November 1st. Got a synopsis for it. It reads Angelina Love and Velvet Sky are the original mean girls of TNA Impact Wrestling. Witness the most dominant women's tag team in wrestling history. Now, they're also going to be airing a one night only knockout special that's going to be on November 7th. Synopsis for that reads 8 aspiring knockouts will take on 8 current TNA knockouts to determine who is crowned queen of the knockouts. So I think I might actually check both of those out and see how they do. I think those might be pretty good. Other than that, it's pretty much been relatively quiet. There's a really good interview that Bobby Lashley did with Martin Hines of The Independent. Some highlights, he had talked about his time in TNA as the world champion, his goal to become a dual champion, recent talks that he had with WWE. It's a really good read. Go check it out when you guys get a chance. Some good stuff. Other than that, that's pretty much going to do it. Let's get to you guys' comments and let's see what you all had to say about tonight's episode. By the way, if you guys had experienced any type of lag at any time throughout the course of this episode, I'm going to have the podcast version of Impact Showdown be available on the downloads. I would say probably in about maybe less than 45 minutes. We'll have it available first on Spreaker, and it'll go to iHeartRadio from there. Let's get to you guys' comments and see what you all had to say. The stream's been going good. I haven't really been able to check out the stream throughout the entire episode, but I'm catching the tail end of it, seeing what you guys are seeing, and it looks pretty good so far. All right, let's see what you guys have to say right here. Refresh these comments. We'll take it to the top, work our way to the bottom. Hey, Rockstar, what's up, man? I'd love to see the Wolves wrestle more. They are some of the best wrestlers in TNA, but TNA needs to sign more tag teams to fill up the roster. I'd love for them to sign tag teams like the Young Bucks or the Briscoe brothers. You know, at one point, they did have the Young Bucks. Whether or not TNA would do business with them again, I mean, that remains to be seen. But I remember in a recent shoot interview that Joey Ryan did, I mean, for a majority of that DVD, well, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I couldn't help but notice quite a few times Joey Ryan had put over the Young Bucks. Jen, I say TNA is stupid for taking the belt off Havoc so soon, but they retarded, so not surprised. Now, Rockstar Spud, on the other hand, I agree, Lee. I've been watching Jessica Havoc for almost 2 years now, and to me, she's down, or maybe the weight is an issue. I don't know. Sofia Garcia, Mr. Innocent, thank you. That's the woman I was referring to on Modern Family. That is one hot mamacita, man. Chica caliente. Let's see. Innocent, with Havoc attack on Gail, I see it as a sign of respect in a hunger way. Gail Kim has been going hard for a good while with no breaks. I guess they see something in Havoc too, and I see the potential matchup she can face for at least 2 months. Should be interest versus Taryn Terrell, Madison, Velvet, possibly Brittany, Rebel, etc. See, David, I was hoping the Wolves would pick something crazy like a 3 Stages of Hell match, or was that exclusively for WCW only? Tables, ladders, and chairs make sense though, because it's both the Hardys and Team 3D specialties in one. Indeed, indeed, indeed. I'm actually looking forward to that. Yeah, I just wish that they, after this, maybe I'll get my wish, but it just seems like every time you turn around, Full Metal Mayhem, it just pops up. If I'm not mistaken, with this Full Metal Mayhem match that's going to be happening next week on Impact, this is going to be, I think, the 4th or 5th, maybe even 6th Full Metal Mayhem match that we've gotten this calendar year. I don't know about you guys, but they're spamming that a little bit too much for me. I hope after this, it doesn't come back until spring next year. That's how they need to do it. Good question there. If I could choose 5 wrestlers from the Indies for TNA to sign and make TNA better, who would it be? That's a good question. I don't want to spend too much more time on that because we've already been on for almost an hour. Let me look at my counter meter here so I can tell how long we've been on here. Yeah, we've been on for almost an hour. I'd love to go into that. I'll tell you what I'll do. That's actually a good cliffhanger. We'll use that for next week's Impact Showdown. All right, we'll do it that way, and I can like tackle that like as soon as we get done recapping Impact Wrestling. I'll try to shorten our Impact review so I can dedicate more time to tackling that and give my explanations as far as why I feel those five should be signed to TNA. And let's see what else we got here. I'm just looking at the comments you guys got. Da, 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 da. Hey, there's no reason to mention that guy. Come on. He doesn't give us the proper time or day, Weston. Come on. Don't mention that guy. Because trust me, I remember a long time ago when I first began this, a guy up that you mentioned, and I was like, hey, I'm just starting to do this whole thing. I'd love it if you could check out my stuff, give me some pointers, give me some constructive criticism. And the guy would not give me the time or day. So, as far as I'm concerned, if he's not willing to give me the time or day, why should he be given the time or day in our comment section? Think before you post. Let's see. Apparently, Havoc is the best female wrestler in history, considering the way she's getting pushed. And did anyone else laugh when Bully Ray said, "You got to give them credit. They got you now," and then slapped one of the member of the Wolves? Valentino, I haven't seen you in a good minute, buddy. How you been? This wasn't as good as some of the shows they've been doing in the past months, but it was still better than a certain other promotion that put a show out this week. I thought that the Samoa Joe and Austin Aries match was pretty good, but the crowd made it seem a little less. So if you took their reaction into account, I agree with that. They did kind of seem a little bit out of it. I don't know if maybe it was the candlelight setting that they were given, as it was kind of dark all around them and all that. I don't know. And Mr. Biggs, the bad guy. Let's not put any spoilers out for people. All right. And that looks like that's it as far as the comments go. We're actually caught up. I'm refreshing one more time just to make sure we're showing everybody some love, but I think we are good. And I disagree. I'll tackle this and that's it. I disagree with the move to Wednesdays. Ratings have been better for Impact Wrestling. As a matter of fact, I think it was last week or the week before they scored like a 1.11. It's like they've done since they've made the move to Wednesdays. No, Wednesdays have been very well done, very well have been going for the TNA promotion. However, I do agree that more promoting is going to need to happen, but unfortunately, that promoting is probably not going to be happening on Spike TV. It's going to have to be with another network. That's the only way more heavy promoting can even be happening with a new TV network. So don't expect it to happen with Spike, as they're going to be more concerned with Bellator and Ink Masters and all that other good stuff. Hey, quick programming note. We did not do a Tuesday night radio edition of the RCWR show. I got sidetracked with a lot of work. I actually had lost track of time. By the time I realized, oh man, I'm supposed to do a show, like it was already past the time. So to make up to you guys, we're actually going to be doing a special Thursday night live radio edition of the RCWR show. You'll be able to catch that at 7:15 p.m. Eastern, live and only on Spreaker. We'll hook you guys up with the very latest in wrestling and entertainment headlines and some more good stuff. So make sure you check that out. All right. As far as weekend edition of the RCWR show goes, we were supposed to do one for you guys this weekend, but with the way the news has just been coming about, it doesn't really look like we're going to be able to do it. What I can do for you guys is probably by Friday afternoon, I'll have a better idea if we're going to be doing a weekend edition. If there's a lot of news, if there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about, we'll definitely keep you guys posted throughout social media, let you know if we're going to do a weekend edition. But the way it's looking right now, a radio edition for sure this Thursday night at 7:15 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing for you guys. That's a one-time deal only. Rare that we do a Thursday night show, so make sure you join us for that. Well, we did used to do a Thursday show. Now that I think about it, but and we had to move that to Wednesday. So it's actually nice to be coming back to Thursday again, but it's a different show. So, but join us for that. We always go all over the place on that. For all the very latest wrestling news and beyond, Be Kind Rewind. We got some great episodes for you guys to check out on the downloads. If you have not entered our contest prize giveaway to win a copy of Chris Jericho's new book, The Best in the World at What I Have No Idea, you still have time. You got until Monday, October. We have the link posted in this episode description, YouTube. It's also on our channel. It has its own unique video clip, give you all the information that you need to enter the contest. Very easy to do. And that's going to do it. Those of you that are patiently waiting for the podcast version of Impact Showdown, I'll have it available in less than 45 minutes. And in the meantime, that is going to do it. We will see you for our next show this October 2nd at 7:15 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker. Until then, please be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. See you next go around, everybody. Take care.